This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Now, back to the Larry Kudlow Show.
So, one of the other decisions President Trump's going to have, and I don't think it's a hard decision, is pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement and stopping all of these extreme, crazy Green New Deal concoctions. Climate change is a religion. It's not a science. And I love to bring in our next guest, Steve Koonin, because I like to sell his book, which has been out for a while. The book is Unsettled, What Climate Science Tells Us, What It Doesn't, and Why It Matters. Steve Koonin is a former Obama administration Energy Department chief scientist. I think he's still teaching school at NYU here in New York, and he's a senior fellow at Hoover Institute. Steve Koonin, did I get that right? You still teaching at NYU?
No, I resigned NYU in September, and I'm now full-time at Hoover.
All right. Well, that's probably much more profitable. Anyway, his op-ed in the Wall Street Journal last week, The Right Way for Trump to Ditch the Paris Agreement. Steve Koonin, before we even get to that, in the last days of the current administration, Biden administration, they are trying to end all U.S. exports of LNG, liquid natural gas. I cannot think of anything stupider. And I ask you, what's this all about?
Yeah, I would agree with you, of course, about the stupidity of it. The U.S. has enormous potential to produce natural gas and sell it to the rest of the world to meet their energy needs. I think, what it is the anti-fossil fuel, climate-driven ideology that we saw hints of in the 2020 election, and everybody said, no, they're not serious. But in fact, it's turned out that the administration is really quite anti-hydrocarbon, which, again, given that it provides 80-some-odd% of the world's energy, being against fossil fuels is just completely nuts.
And again, on this LNG business, Steve, look, natural gas is a clean burning fuel. If I'm not mistaken, the European Union, which at one point was completely crazed about fossil fuels, actually reclassified natural gas as a clean burning fuel. We should do likewise here, but it doesn't matter because it is. So if we were selling it around the world to Europe, for example, or even to China, I know they're our adversary, wouldn't that, we would make the world cleaner. We would make the climate cleaner.
Of course we would, and provide energy to the world. I guess one argument against it is that by having the ability to export the gas, you will raise domestic prices because gas is much more expensive elsewhere. And if you start siphoning off U.S. gas to go abroad, that could in principle raise the domestic price. But in fact, when you talk to people in the business, exactly the opposite would occur.
Yes, we just produce more. The trick here is to increase production, keep prices down, for heaven's sake. So I'm reading from your big piece about getting out of the Paris Accord. Washington's goal should be energy for all. Providing affordable and reliable energy, no matter the source, would do far more good for humanity than discouraging fossil fuels based on fear of some vague climate catastrophe. I love that. You're an expert. You're a nuclear physicist, right?
Right.
So
yes.
Some vague climate catastrophe, which has never come.
No, and when you ask people, who are alarmed, the experts, what are you afraid of? It's very difficult to get any answer. Some people say more droughts, other people say more floods, storms, sea level going up, at some tremendous rate. None of that has happened. We cannot find any climate trends in extreme weather events at all.
I mean, the data just never supported these extreme warnings.
No,
never.
No, it's all about models that are not fit for purpose, as the experts would say. Yeah. And so you can get any answer you want out of the models.
So on the constructive side, it just seems to me the base load energy for the next 50 or 100 years is natural gas, and you have this in your thing, small modular fission reactors and better batteries. I mean, I love this idea that you have these little nuclear modular fission things and natural gas. Those are the base load, clean burning fuels, aren't they?
Yes, and when you look at people who have to confront energy reality every day, they will come to exactly that same conclusion. Eric Schmidt, the Google chairman, or Alphabet now, as it's called, when I came out with my book, I think he thought it was the devil's work.
Yes.
But then he writes a piece a couple of months ago that says, well, to power AI, we're going to have to burn gas. So it's okay to not save the planet if you're running AI, for example.
Well, look, the demand for electricity is going to skyrocket, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Some people say as much as 15, 20% in the next 5 years, when you look at tremendous energy cost that goes into training these AI models.
So you're going to need something to power electricity, and it's not going to be offshore windmills. Sorry.
No, because none of that is reliable. And what's going to happen for the data centers in the next 5 years is they're going to build gas turbines. And you can do that in a few years. The gas is there, and it's fine. Longer term, they're starting to seriously invest and engage with the small reactor people. And eventually it'll be small reactors.
Well, I think President Trump's administration will promote these small reactors. I mean, I know they're going to promote fossil fuels, and they're going to promote natural gas, but I think they will, Steve Koonin. Have you heard?
His nominee for Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, whom I know, is in fact a fan of small reactors.
Why don't you go into the administration? I tried to pull you in 4 or 5 years ago.
No, I mean, you know what it's like to be inside the government.
All right.
I did that for 2.5 years. It was enough.
The book is called Unsettled, What Climate Science Tells Us, What It Doesn't. Steve Koonin's terrific stuff.